Hello everyone and welcome to Encounters USA, where we do aliens, we do Bigfoot, and we do Dogman. Now today we're going to venture a little bit out of the USA. In fact, we're going to Panama because we're going to look at the Panama Alien. Coming up next. Hello everyone and welcome to Encounters USA. Now, we've been following the Three-Eye Atlas development, and a few days ago we found out that there were a bunch of comets that were also entering the solar system. And about the same time, actually I think it's been maybe about 2 weeks, maybe going on 3 weeks now, some guy in Panama, I'm sure you've seen it, and if you haven't, I'll tell the story as quickly as possible. Some young guy in Panama found a meteorite, took it home, it's a rock, and stuff started growing out of it. And it really got to be weird. I mean, super weird. And what has grown out of it looks like some kind of plant, seaweedish kind of substance. But there's just so many questions that are surrounding this thing. So this guy has this meteorite landed in his, yard or whatever, and it started growing. And over the weeks, it grew more and it grew more. Now, let me just say that he says the more it is exposed to light, the more it grows. However, even he's had it locked up in a safe, and it still, even though it's not exposed to light, appears to be growing. So now it looks to be, the last I saw of it, I would say it was about this, maybe this big. But there's a movie called Evolution with the guy that played Mulder on the X-Files. And it talks about how this very same scenario, this thing kind of, a meteor lands and some life form grows out of it, and that life form starts to evolve. And what's happening with this one really appears to be the same thing, because it is growing with no known form of nourishment. It appears to be growing just off of the oxygen and nitrogen that is in the air. But when it gets into sunlight, it really starts to grow. So this guy's just kept it out of the sun, I guess, for as much as possible. And he just, over the days and weeks, he kept documenting this thing and how it's growing. And he did, last time I saw, he was freezing it. And then today, so that's what the situation is now. Now let's talk about some of the implications of this thing. First and foremost, this was one, right? What if there are other ones out in the world that have landed and are not being covered by some kid in Panama, but are actually out in the sun growing? I just watched a thing this morning, a video about a guy in Puerto Rico that was abducted, and they told him there would be a meteorite that hit the earth and it would just basically destroy the planet. It would change everything. And I'm not sure that this is not the meteorite, but as far as I know right now, there could be, many more of these things out in the world actually growing in places where there's no people, and or even in the ocean, and we have no idea what form these things might be taking. All right, so that is one question that we have to ask ourselves. Now, the next question we have to ask ourselves is, this kid was not using gloves, was not protecting itself. But when he put, so it didn't burn him. When he touched it, whatever, he actually broke pieces off and sent them out to different places. And let me just say right now, I guess I should have said this at the beginning. Of course, this could be a hoax. This could be a huge, colossal hoax. But I don't know if it is or not. And so far, although there have been a lot of people that say, yes, it's a hoax, nobody has shown why this thing keeps growing. And there's millions of people that are watching this, and it actually appeared to grow outside of a safe that it was being kept in. One of its little arms or whatever, leaves or branches, actually grew out of a safe. So we don't know if this thing is vegetable. We don't know if this thing is an animal. All we know is this thing is growing really fast, and we don't know if it has any kind of intelligence. But if it does, then we have even more questions. So, along with the fact we don't know how many of these things there are, we don't know if this thing is sentient. Nobody's done any tests on it to see how it is going to react, to language. Is it able to communicate? Is it able to reproduce? Is it able to make a whole bunch more of itself? And if it can, in what time frame? So there's that. Then, how did it make itself into a meteor, and how did that meteor get into outer space? And if that meteor got into outer space, then what else is in outer space, and what could actually land on the Earth? And so finally, having remote viewed 3I Atlas with Kyle Toll and with David Powell, two very respected remote viewers, Kyle Toll said there's something on that thing that is life, but it's not like human life. Now, David Powell said, no, there's lots of human, reptile life, robots. You've got your whole gamut of an alien, potential alien civilization. But Kyle Toll said, no, it's not like we know it, but it's sentient life. And so who's going to be correct? So I'm saying that, and if you want to see some really interesting videos, I'll put the links in the description, and also I'll put them in that thing at the end where you can click on, your next videos. But having said that, what if this A3I Atlas is just a big meteorite full of these things? Could you imagine if this thing is like the size of a mountain, and it is full of millions or billions of these things, and it's going to, somehow drop them off in the solar system to work their way around? Well, we don't know, but it's definitely leaving the future exciting. If you have any comments about this stuff, leave them in the description. I'm going to have, as soon as I can, I'm going to have some more information about them. But for right now, I just wanted to get this video out there so that at Encounters USA, we are keeping on top of everything in the paranormal. So remember what we always say: if you're in Panama and you pick up a meteorite that turns out to be some kind of alien, always watch your back.